So you want to get into the Dragon Quest series and you just don't know where to begin? Today, I'll help you out with that. I'm David, and here we're going to be diving deep into this long-running classic series. I'll briefly go over each game in the franchise, giving you a general overview and letting you know what to expect to see if this is a game that's right for you. For the most part, all the games do have a few features in common, such as turn-based battles, towns to explore filled with NPCs, and large sprawling world maps to wander around in. The first three Dragon Quest games are all part of what is known as the Erdrick trilogy. Each of them tells a standalone story, so you don't have to play them in order if you don't want to. Though the second game does star the descendants of the hero from the first game, and the third one does tie everything together quite nicely. Originally released on the NES, all of these have been remade quite a number of times, on the SNES, the Game Boy Color, the Switch, and even on mobile. And honestly, at this point, I would probably just go ahead and play them on mobile. They're good time sinks since the majority of the gameplay focuses on grinding and exploring. The first game is as basic as can be. You're on your own, set with two tasks: saving the princess, then defeating the Dragon Lord. The second is more involved. Now with 3 party members and a ship to sail the ocean, you're tasked with finding 5 crests, then defeating the evil Hargan. This entry is widely known as the Black Sheep in the series because of its unforgivable difficulty and convoluted progression. Also chronologically, it is the last one in the trilogy. While the first 2 games here are skippable, I would deem the third game to be a must-play, as it is one of the best in the entire series. Here, many Dragon Quest staples are introduced, such as the job class system, flying and sailing, multiple worlds, and 4 party members. While the last numerically, this is the first in the trilogy chronologically, and it's one of my favorites in this series. One thing to note is that many future games, such as Dragon Quest 8 and 11, go back and even reference this game. It's not huge, but you will be missing out on some of those references if you decide to skip this entry. The next trio of games, Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6, are also connected in their own separate trilogy, known as the Zenith trilogy. However, here the connections are much looser than the Erdrick trilogy. Rather than sharing storyline connections, the 3 games only share themes, such as 8 party members who actually have a personality, a wagon to lug them all around in, and the angelic realm of Zenith. Dragon Quest 4 was originally released on the NES, while 5 and 6 came out for the SNES. However, they were all remade for the Nintendo DS and have been released on mobile platforms as well. Dragon Quest 4 can start off very slowly because it utilizes a chapter system where you don't really get into the meat of the game until Chapter 5. This can be rather off-putting for some, but as a historical note, it is the very first JRPG to use this now ubiquitous system. Dragon Quest V is another entry, along with 3, that I would deem to be a must-play. It is mine, as well as the series creator's favorite entry, and it may very well be my favorite game of all time. It tells the story of a boy growing into a man, eventually getting married and having children, all while saving the world at the same time. It's probably the most story-heavy of the first 7 Dragon Quests, and I would highly recommend playing the remade portable versions as they add another wife and a 4th party member slot. Dragon Quest VI is a strange bird. Harkening back to 3, the job system is reintroduced and refined, but you only gain access to it about a 4th of the way through the game. Also, the system can be a bit slow because gaining job ranks is based upon how many battles you fight, so if you're not into grinding, steer clear. The story is pretty nice, as you'll be going back and forth between dream and real worlds to discover your own identity. Because of this though, it can be kind of confusing, so as usual, I would recommend one of the more streamlined remakes to play. With Dragon Quest VII, Enix went ahead and dropped the entire trilogy aspect. From here on, they're all pretty much standalone titles, with some small references to the past sprinkled throughout. The game was originally made for the PlayStation, then later remade for the 3DS, and then that remake was ported to mobile as well. The story centers around a group of youths who set out to restore the lost continents of the world. It's pretty epic, and there is a ton to do, but this is a double-edged sword, because it's one of the longest games I've ever played. It utilizes pretty much the exact same job system from Dragon Quest VI, but with a few added tweaks. However, if you didn't like it there, you're not going to like it here either. This is also one of the most challenging games in the series, requiring you to grind at many occasions. However, the 3DS remake and the mobile port have alleviated many of the issues with the original game to make it more palatable to the masses. Personally, I loved the game, but I wouldn't recommend it to a newcomer to the series. This is very much a love letter to the fans. Dragon Quest VIII, originally released for the PlayStation 2 but later remade for the 3DS and mobile, marked a tonal shift and complete change to the series. It's the first entry in 3D, the first to feature voice acting, and it also introduced the skill tree type upgrades, based upon your weaponry, which is much easier to grasp than the convoluted job systems of the previous games. I would say that this would be another must-play along with 3 and 5, because the story is well told, the world is fun to explore, and it was made to attract newcomers to the series. With all the modern quality of life improvements, this is a fantastic game to get your feet wet with and see what the series is all about. Next up we have Dragon Quest IX, arguably the hardest title to actually play since it was only released for the Nintendo DS and never ported to any other systems. That's a shame, because it was pretty nice. You play as an angel sent to Earth to help and guide people. The progression system is a mixture of Dragon Quest VIII's weapon skills with the traditional job system also. It's pretty unique, and on-screen encounters were added for the first time in the series, but since it is so obscure and the online aspect has been cut off, I would actually recommend avoiding it for now and holding out hope for a remake. Dragon Quest X has unfortunately never been released in America. It is a Japan-only MMO, and quite honestly, it looks pretty amazing. But unfortunately, not even I have played it since I don't speak Japanese. So that leads us into the last mainline entry into the series, Dragon Quest XI. This game takes a lot of inspiration from Dragon Quest VIII, only everything has been upgraded and it's much more fleshed out. Instead of 4 party members, you now have 8, and the world is massive, ripe for exploration. Encounters are on screen and the story is well told. However, at the very end it does harken back to Dragon Quest III. That being said though, I would add this to my list of must-play Dragon Quest games. And, since it was released the most recently on all the latest consoles, it's the easiest to access as well. You can't go wrong playing this game and seeing what the series is all about. Keep in mind though, that there is an S version of the game with added content and a spiffy 2D mode. If you're going to go ahead and buy the game, you might as well get the S definitive version. Let me also briefly touch on all the many Dragon Quest spin-offs. There's the Monsters series originally released for the Game Boy, which is essentially Pokemon in Dragon Quest clothing. The Tornico series, which is a roguelike following Taloon from Dragon Quest IV. The recent Builders games, which are heavily inspired by Minecraft. And the Heroes series, which is a Musou or Dynasty Warriors type game where enemies just flood the screen. If you're a fan of any of those genres or other series, you might want to check out those spin-offs as well. So, just to summarize, if you're a fan of 2D games and old school grinding, check out Dragon Quest 1 through 6. If you're looking for a game to sink hundreds of hours into, 7 is the one for that. And if you want old school charm with a new coat of paint, 8 and 11 are the ones for you. Well, I hope that this has helped you get a feeling for this long-running series. If you like this video and what I do here on the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon for exclusive videos and early access to my content. The link to it can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.